Hello everyone, thanks for joining. Before I actually start talking about GraphQL, quick answer to the question, who is this guy actually? You heard the weird name, you're hearing my accent, so I'm actually from Berlin, Germany, so please forgive me for that. Actually gets a lot worse if and when I had a couple of years, but tonight we should actually be fine. Currently I'm a co-founder and CTO of Dubsmash. Co-founder and CTO of Dubsmash. We started that about 3 years ago. Quick answer to the question what Dubsmash is. Dubsmash basically revolutionized the way mobile users, especially so on iOS and Android, are viewing and consuming video content on mobile. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard it. So what we basically offer is we have a huge catalog of codes, which process like movies, series, random YouTube videos with like news bloopers or whatnot, and also a lot of music content. And we actually managed to aggregate over 200 million users over the last 3 years, or 2.5 it actually is, which is quite impressive, which are sharing 35 videos per second and over 120,000 sign up every day. So it's still growing quite a bit. Why that is interesting for you and not just a simple spoiler for like advertising a company is actually that we're very cross-platform. So we have native Android and iOS applications as well as React applications for web. So we actually have a lot of data. We have a lot of reach across a lot of very different screen sizes, platforms and whatnot. And we also have, to be honest, crazy amounts of APIs. So we have at one point, I think we had like up to 250 REST APIs we had to maintain and develop and version and develop new features with. And yeah, that's basically the reason why I want to talk to you about GraphQL today. Quick raise of hands, who actually knows GraphQL already, has worked with it, or at least knows content? Okay, so that's, I'm very happy about that. Actually, that's a very good sign that the community is working, especially the red one. So glad to hear that. Maybe short intro to it still. So GraphQL is basically, sorry for the very lame and short explanation, a data query language developed by Facebook. Data query language, the most important part of that is actually the language part, because GraphQL is actually just a spec and not an actual implementation. So GraphQL itself is a concept, and then there are various implementations for it for both server and client sides, and also various languages, Python, JavaScript, Swift, Java, Kotlin, even I think. So that's actually quite a bit. The most famous of them, especially for React usage, should be Apollo, which at least the ones that raise their hand should know very well already. So maybe a quick graphical explanation of how that actually works. So that is actually, there's supposed to be a REST on top of it. I don't know where that one went. Anyways, so how REST APIs usually work, you have a client, this time could be a browser, and that one then calls different REST APIs to fetch data, to post data, to post a comment, to post a message or whatnot. And all those endpoints are basically separately maintained. So like all the endpoints you actually have to write, and even if you have like a Django or Ruby on Rails or whatnot, which takes like a lot of work off your shoulder in writing those, you still have to write some right. You have to define all the fields you want to have there, you have to do data types, and sometimes you have like custom aggregations. It's really quite long that it adds up if you actually implement all of those. And you still also have to maintain those. And what, at least for me personally, like my background is a really mobile heavy one. I am an iOS engineer for many, many years, so like I'm very into like getting small response sizes in fluent UI. So it's really important to actually have performant API calls also. And if you have REST APIs, what happens a lot of times is that you actually have to do 1 or 2 or sometimes even 3 calls to just render one view, because you have to pick some information from there, some from there, some from there. And especially if you have like a smartphone and you're like on the go, you're, I don't know, you're hiking or whatnot, you feel it, right? It just doesn't feel right. So that's where GraphQL actually comes in. And GraphQL, I like to describe it always like as like kind of an API proxy kind of thing. So GraphQL API, the server itself, basically sits in front of your old, what you used to implement as REST endpoints, let's call it that way, and answers the query. So the client is basically only doing one single request to your GraphQL API, and that one is getting answered then. And the client is describing what it wants. So for example, let's take a user profile as an example, right? So you open up the user profile in your app and you want to display it, so the client goes to the GraphQL API and it's okay, please give me a username, a profile picture, and the bio or the description, you can make it like Instagram, right? And the GraphQL server is then actually resolving all those single fields and fetching data from where it needs to be. Like the most simple case would be a database, right? SQL database, you just query where user ID equals that, and you return that data, but you might as well fetch it from, like, I don't know, like an object storage like S3, or even more advanced, you fetch it from a completely different service that is not exposed to the caller itself, but just sitting like internally inside the network. So you can really wire things up and still have a clean interface to the client and use it in a very, very nice way. So at least the ones that don't know GraphQL yet, they might ask, okay, nice, sounds nice. API proxy is not really a new idea, right? That has been, Netflix has been using it for 5 years at least, and probably a little more. So why are we actually doing that, right? There's a lot of different opinions about it. There's a lot of different attitudes, let's call it that way, maybe, about what people actually find important about an API, what their core competencies are. I just want to outline 2 for today to really make it short. First of all, it would be speeding up the creation on the front-end side. The Fabric guys, I'm pretty sure a couple of you guys also know those. Firebase were... Anyways, those wrote a very interesting blog article actually about their usage of GraphQL and how it helped them. And we at DevSearch, we actually saw the very first, very same thing, because in the end, like I already mentioned, clients specify what data they actually want to have. So they say, I want to have exactly the username, the profile picture, and the description, and nothing else. That in turn then leads to the API response actually being as small as possible. So I'm not transferring any data that is unnecessary. I'm not fetching any data from my database that I don't really need to fetch, which makes it faster on both server as well as client side. And cool thing about this, you can actually change data being displayed without touching any API. So let's just do a small like mind experiment. You ship your application on whatever platform. You implemented it with a certain UI, and now all of a sudden the product manager comes around and is like, hey, how about we add that field to it? And you're like, damn it, now I need to add a new field to the API. So meaning depending on how your organization is structured, I have to go to the backend team, depending on how busy they are. It takes a day, it takes an hour, it might take a week, who knows, we have all heard scary stories about that. Anyway, so it's a lot of hassle, then you have to implement it, and the next time it comes around, the same happens, and the same happens, and the same happens. And at the same time, you have to make sure, especially on mobile applications, that you're not breaking any old clients, right? Like, of course, on web, you deploy a new version, browser reloads, everyone is happy you have the new version live. Oh, rather than Android, that's going to take months. That's really going to be a pain in the ass at some point. So GraphQL actually helps you with that, because the server has the same interface all the time, and as soon as you decide you want to use something else in your user interface, you just add it to your query, you add your button or label or whatnot, and you're good to go, and no backend engineer ever saw what you did. How, at least, like, it really depends on your application also, but usually it's the case that if you have a web and a mobile application, the web application is actually displaying more data than the mobile application, is simply because you have a bigger screen, you have a keyboard, you have a mouse, it's just easier there, right? So as soon as you want to implement such a thing, you have two roads to go down, basically. Yeah, it's like first road would be you implement one endpoint, which contains all the fields. Like, of course, it might be only 3, but it might as well be 300, right? So your web application renders all of them. The mobile application still downloads all that data, but in the end, it's only rendering 3 tiny labels, which are not really worth all that data being transmitted, right? The alternative, wherever my Chrome is, we're basically done with that working. The alternative would be that you implement two endpoints, one for the web application, one for mobile. So the web application one actually returns a lot of data. The mobile one only a small tiny set of data that's actually needed. There's also the problem of downloading data you don't want to download. The only thing it doesn't solve actually is that you now have 2 endpoints you need to maintain. And if you don't only have 1 endpoint you want to do that with, but 200, then all of a sudden you don't have 200 endpoints, but 400 endpoints, and tell it to your CI system, right? It will crunch under that. So that's actually not really good and not what you want to do. Okay, cool. So the one thing I wanted to show you today is actually how to implement something with React and GraphQL together. So all of those who don't know GraphQL yet can actually get a feeling for how that works and why I just didn't come up with something. So maybe a small introduction before we actually start. What I have here locally in my shell running, sorry for going ahead. I have a small GraphQL server and a small React application bootstrap with great React. I'm sorry for that. But was just here to do yesterday. So maybe let's start with the server. I'm not going to dive too much into that because it's really not part of the talk today. So the server is basically nothing else than an Express application which is running locally, which exposes a GraphQL endpoint, which is then using the Apollo server, Express, and the M package. I already told you about the various implementations. Apollo is probably the most well-known one, at least for the whole React community. If you want to know more about how to install it, how to set it up, it's also not part of this talk. Just go to dev.apollo.com. They have a huge amount of tutorials and walkthroughs, and they even started doing weekly videos. So I can really only recommend anyone interested in that topic going there. It's really nice. So the only interesting part in here, and why I actually went in here, is the schema. So of course, GraphQL, I mean, it already has it in its name, right? It's like kind of like an object graph. It comes from Facebook. They were like sort of the godfather of graph. Let's call it that way maybe for today. You of course also have to define the schema you want to use. The schema is actually quite easy. I wanted to come up with an example for today. Usually you do deliveries and pizzas or authors and books. It's kind of dull, so I figured, damn it. I figured why not use Pokemons in their trainers for once, just to spice it up. As soon as the picture comes back, I'll show you the two types I defined. They're quite simple. So of course we have the trainer type. The trainer type actually has, the trainer of course has an ID, right? Database ID, I think that should be a common best practice of every application nowadays. The trainer of course has a name, which is a string, and it has a list of Pokemons. Okay. So the cool thing which you see here already, I not only gave the object type a name, which is actually mandatory for GraphQL, but I also added a description. Seems quite minimal, but when you actually have a proper production schema with proper fields and proper types in there, the cool thing, you can actually run automated scripts over that, which automatically not only generates you documentation for it, doesn't know that, I'm having to write that, you saw it, right? But also allows you with that graph interactive query language interface to actually introspect the schema. So that's actually quite sweet and helps a lot when you want to debug some. I think if you just want to play around with like that kind of stuff, just use the GitHub GraphQL API they have. They have like a GraphQL Explorer for that. It's pretty sweet. They have like all the documentation there. I can only recommend that. Anyways, back to our Pokemons. So we have the trainers. Similarly, we have the Pokemons. Pokemons are a little easier. We just have an ID, which also is an integer, and the name, which is a string. So far, so good. The last thing we actually have to define is the GraphQL schema, which in the end, as you see here, is also just object type again, so nothing special here. For now, I defined two fields. If you want to call it that way, you might as well call it functions, method, something like that. Please don't kill me for that. People who know GraphQL, it's not called that way, I know. Anyways, so we basically have two functions defined. One is trainer, which receives an argument ID, which is a non-nullable GraphQL integer, so an integer, and returns the trainer. And we have a function called all trainers, which expects no argument and is simply returning a list of trainers, which should be quite easy. Okay, so far for the server, I know that was a lot. It's really just here, not like, oh, where's the magic data coming from? You guys know where that is at. So now coming actually to the interesting part, the create React app, or the output that was generated by create React app. Okay, cool. So as you can see, the only thing I actually, so this app component here is what you usually have, right? Once you run create React app, the only thing I added around this is the so-called Apollo provider, which basically makes sure that all the components wrapped inside it have access to GraphQL, they have access to a client, and can actually execute queries. I'll show you in a second why that is actually important. Other than that, it's a pretty vanilla React app. If we go in that window, now it's there. Awesome. If we go into my browser, which keeps moving up, different places, we see, yeah. So it's here, pretty standard. Oops, no. No, it's pretty standard React app as soon as it loads. So, yes, awesome. Okay, cool. What I have here, what we want to do today with GraphQL is basically implementing a simple list that shows us all the trainers and the Pokemon. Okay, cool. Let's start. I'll put down the microphone, I'll type a couple lines, and then I'll pick it back up and walk you through what I actually did. Oh, yeah. You guys need to have the microphones then. Cool.
You guys need to have microphones.
Okay, cool. So the first thing we want to do is actually we want to define our GraphQL query. I mean, it's an application that wants to display data, right? So we of course need to fetch it from somewhere. Okay. So of course we want to query something. I'll tell you later what it is actually important. Remember here from the schema we have the all trainers function which we want to use. So we actually do all trainers, and how GraphQL works basically as soon as you call a function implementation or something similar, you can basically define what fields you want to have back in your response. So that's actually where the really cool stuff comes in. So I call the all trainers function, which is returning a list of all the trainers I have in my dummy database, and now I can basically just say, okay, give me back all the trainers, and for those trainers, give me ID and name. Now let's open the inspector here real quick and do a quick reload. So you see, oh, don't see actually. Interesting. So you see it's a pretty standard React app. It's not loading anything suspicious. Inject JS, WebSockets, bundle.js, all pretty normal. Reason for that is because we didn't use our query yet. Coming back, if you remember from a minute ago, I mentioned the follow provider, which is actually important for loading things. So React common best practice is composition, right? So you basically wrap components and other components and other components and more and more and more, and sometimes you actually stop. Kind of works the same way with GraphQL. So I can basically just create a wrap component. I'll call it create list with data. And I'll use the GraphQL function from Apollo to actually pass in the query and then into like the component that basically gets created inside. I'll pass my original component, and then all I have to do is actually simply exporting it here. Like this is oh shit, sorry. And yeah, now you actually see, just by reloading, it already called that GraphQL endpoint on my server. So let's quickly check out what it did. If we see that here, it's let's see here. So it actually has all trainers, right? ID and name. That's the query we just wrote. So I can just use the name here again. Wait for the reload. Exactly, and now when I check out what is being sent, it's only ZID. So it's really taking my query, sending it to the GraphQL server, and if we check out what's coming back, I see here all trainers, and then we have a list of all those trainers, 1, 2. Let's actually add the name back so we actually see what trainers those are. And now we see here ID number 1 is Ketchum, of course. Then we have quick name, Professor Oak. I actually looked those up, but I did a small Pokemon trivia game yesterday. Anyways, okay, cool. So we get all those back. Let's do something. As I already told you, Apollo takes care of wrapping it into a subcomponent for us, and then it passes in the data that is being loaded by the GraphQL server as a prop into the component itself. So I can just take my stateless component here and do data, and data is the object that Apollo gives us back as a response. And data not only contains the response, but it, for example, also contains the flag if it's loading, of course, my response object, and then contains many other things for refreshing, pagination. Just take a look at that. It's like a treasure chest kind of a little bit. So let's start by using the loading flag. So as long as we're loading, we actually want to just print loading, simple for now, no spinner needed. And as soon as that is done, we want to render out data loaded. So let's take a look at that. You see it flashing real quick, right? It says loading for a split second, and then data loaded before that is that server is local, it's not bringing a database, so it's just quick. In reality, of course, you would have like a spinner or loading message or whatever your storybook tells you to do there, and then you would just display data afterwards. So that was just a small demonstration. Of course, we don't want to just render dummy text, but we want to render out our trainers actually. So let's use a very ugly unordered list for that. If you remember, our schema says all trainers returns list of trainers. So we can rely on our trainers actually being an array. So we can just do all trainers map. And then for every trainer, we go back from our GraphQL API, we render out this item with the trainer name inside, and let's give it a key just to be safe, trainer.id, so React knows what to do. We reload, and voila, we have a list of our trainers here. Let's just assume you ship that, you fix the CSS, because that's not really my thing, to be fair. So you fix the CSS, ship it to your customers, clients, whatever you're developing. And now you want to actually not only show the trainers, but you also want to show what Pokemons they're training or owning or whatever you actually call it. So you actually need to change something. What you usually would do, you would actually, like I described earlier, you would change your REST API. Sometimes you version it, sometimes you just add it. In any case, you need to change quite a bit. With GraphQL, it's actually way easier. So if we look back at our trainer type, it has that Pokemon's list on it, right? So what we should be able to do is we just go in here and do trainer.Pokemons map, Pokemon. And let's maybe reuse my very beloved unordered list pattern for the sake of the exercise today. And then for every Pokemon, we basically render out a list item, of course, also with the Pokemon's name. Pokemon name, that's okay, it doesn't work. Yeah. So cannot read property map of undefined. Exception is pretty clear. Trainer.Pokemon seems to be undefined. First look seems weird, right? We had in our schema trainer, of course, as Pokemons, obviously. What we're missing actually is we didn't query for it. So let's just add the Pokemons here, and of course, GraphQL is nesting. So for every Pokemon, we can again specify what fields of that Pokemon we want to have back. Of course, right now we only have a name, that's not that nice an example. And voila, we have all the Pokemons in here, and we could list it even further, and we could continue that as much as we want. Thank you so much for being my microphone. Okay, cool. Yes, that was the slide I was missing. Okay, cool. We're almost done. That was the code intro slides that you guys unfortunately didn't see. We're almost done. Before I actually finish, one last shameless plug. We are always looking for awesome people to join our team. So if you're interested in working with GraphQL and React and everything that is considered the latest and the hottest, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty sure we're using it in some shape or form, or at least considering it. If you don't feel like it today, just shoot me an email. It's tim@dubsmash.com. It's very easy at Dubsmash, so please feel free to reach out. Are there any questions? Yes, please.
So the nesting that you're doing with GraphQL, do you notice that those can get really expensive, or why is that more performant? Is the performance gain from REST APIs, is that basically the latency that you're not having to deal with by making the multiple requests?
Yeah. So the question was basically if the performance gains that only one request to the server is outweighing the database costs.
And how expensive those nested GraphQL calls.
Yeah, exactly. So those nested GraphQL calls, I mean, in the end, like the most common use case is still, unfortunately, to be honest, a relational database, right? So it's like different tables which will then join together primary keys, and that's like how you like dissolve that nesting and render it out. That of course doesn't change. So GraphQL doesn't free you from having a data schema that is working well. But in all languages, for example, we're running GraphQL on top of Python, namely Django, not only with relational databases, but also with DynamoDB and a couple of apprentices and whatnot under it. So every attribute you can resolve completely custom. So even if that would be the case, like for example, for us it actually was, since like our data schema wasn't made for GraphQL, so we kind of had to deal with what we had in place. So if that happens, what you can actually do is you can just write a custom resolver for that, which is just a normal function. Sounds crazy hard, actually is not. And all you need to do is like implement some custom like Redis caching or put in front end data or something. That is usually enough, especially if you're like having issues with like high traffic user profiles, which are like a celebrity or something, right? Like that one you don't need to recalculate every time. You can just like write it into Redis or something. So short answer, yes, it can be issues if your data model isn't working well, but that's nothing GraphQL can really save you from. Yes.
If you're trying to convince your management how freaking cool this is, there's so many great like web-based sandboxes where you can query your GraphQL endpoint, and then that's like a great thing to have you get your manager to look over your shoulder and see how cool it is. And he's like, well, wait a minute, what, I can query for this?
Yeah, of course, those like interactive tools are always a big selling point, right? So when you're talking about it's sort of like the GraphQL is called the Interactive Query Language Explorer, I think is the official bulky name, which is very nicely made. It updates live, and like I said earlier, it lets you introspect your schema so you can actually see what fields are available, what data types do they have. And like I said, I think for me the first example which I actually tried out with that when I started looking into GraphQL was GitHub. They released their GraphQL API half a year or a year ago, I think by now. And it's pretty cool since it's like most of us can relate to it. We know what fields are in there, what a commit is, what a repository is, and whatnot, right? So I can only recommend that as like a starting point to like get you deeper and show it to people. Yes, last question.
I'm sorry, this is a new question. I understand REST APIs get post requests. So when you're making a query using GraphQL, are you utilizing get post? How? Like I didn't see the network tab there. How are these requests being made? Are you using the current protocols?
Yeah, exactly. It is. So what Apollo under the hood basically does for like every GraphQL library, it's forming post request with a JSON payload as sending your query. That was the one I showed quickly when I changed ID name and sending it to the API, and that one responds with a pretty standard JSON. So no one is going to rob you of JSON, at least for now. Maybe someday someone will implement a protobuf add-on or plugin for that, let's see, but for now it's JSON.
Yeah, thanks, Let's see.